Chapter 799. Yi Qiliang and the others did not expect there to be a follow-up to this incident. After carefully reading the news, they were inevitably shocked. Preposterous. Preposterous. These people are really, really rotten to the core. The other people's faces did not look good either. Not to mention anything else, just the fact that they stole a student's research results made everyone present feel disgusted. These people were all involved in academia and research, so they naturally knew how much hard work and effort it took to complete a research project. In the end, everything they had done was taken away, and all their efforts were in vain. This feeling was like a child that they had been carrying for 10 months and raising for many years was suddenly abducted by human traffickers one day. The child was then crowned with someone else's surname and became someone else's child. Unfortunately, they were not as rich and powerful as the other party. They did not even have the confidence to get their child back. They could only watch their child acknowledge the thief as his father. Although we shouldn't wash our dirty linen in public, this is no longer just a dirty linen. Look at this. One of the old professors sighed and pointed at the people who had suddenly jumped out in a few minutes to prove that the news was true. Skipping over the emotional parties, who looked as if they had gotten their revenge, one of the non-parties who leaked the information attracted a lot of attention. This informant claimed to have grown up with one of the people whose research results had been stolen. They used to be schoolmates. He accurately said that his friend's research was plagiarized back then and posted some of the original manuscript online to prove that the research was indeed the result of his friend's own research. Onlookers loved this kind of news the most. It was satisfying and not tiring. However, there were also people who wondered why he was the one who posted these things instead of the person involved. The other party quickly replied, because he is no longer in this world. The hearts of the onlookers suddenly trembled. Then, without needing to be urged, the person spontaneously told the tragic truth behind this plagiarism. It turned out that his friend's mother had died early, and his father had raised him single-handedly. He was also promising and had been admitted to a good school with his own ability. Before he graduated, he was taken into a research lab under one of the 3 old guys. The people around him envied him and felt that he had a promising future with such a backer. At first, he felt that he was very lucky. However, just as he was about to graduate and his research was about to bear fruit, his father suddenly fell seriously ill and needed a large sum of money for treatment. At that time, his friend had tried his best to produce results because only then could he get the money to treat his father, prove his ability, and find a good job to support the family. It was easy to imagine what would happen in the end. The results that he had worked so hard for were snatched away by his mentor. The reputation that he deserved and the money that could save his life, he didn't get any of it. His father didn't have enough money to pay for his treatment and passed away soon after. Not only that, but someone was worried that he would make a scene because of this matter, so he deliberately framed him with the crime of theft, leaving a black mark on his file so that no company would be willing to hire him. After a series of blows, the person involved was completely disheartened. In the end, she walked the path of despair and committed suicide by jumping off a building in her most beautiful years. Chapter 800. Other than the people in the industry who had a deep understanding of the situation, most of the netizens only treated it as an interesting piece of news. Now that they suddenly discovered that this piece of news involved human lives, these people no longer dared to treat it as an interesting and insignificant piece of news. Of course, it was not that no one questioned why such a terrible thing was not exposed back then and only revealed now. The other party also quickly replied, back then, someone covered the sky with one hand and the victims had no way to appeal. Now that someone has finally self-destructed, I'll feel uneasy if I don't take this opportunity to seek justice for the dead. It was reasonable, and well-founded, causing a commotion. After that, another person revealed that the 2 old men who harassed the waitress did not only harass this girl. There was once a victim upstairs. The girl's parents wanted to seek justice for the girl, but in the end, they were slandered for deliberately seducing a married man. The people around did not know the truth and pointed fingers at the girl, forcing the girl to go insane and cut her wrists at home. Although they were rescued later, the whole family had moved away. They didn't know what was going on now. They originally thought that it was just a moral dispute, but it suddenly involved fate. With these two typical examples, the netizens were furious. The higher-ups also quickly noticed this matter and quickly set up an investigation team to investigate. In the end, the vines were pulled out along with the melons. One melon after another was dug out. The incident was so big that it shocked the entire industry. The president of the medical association and those people still did not understand until they were arrested. They were just suppressing an unknown internet celebrity. How did they get themselves implicated? Yi Qiliang and the others watched helplessly as the melon rolled from a small one to a huge one. It fell and crushed a group of people to death. How did this happen? I heard from a student who has some connections in the investigation department that the news is basically true. One of the old professors shook his head and said sadly, "I can only say that God is watching what people do. It's not that the karma won't come, it's just that it's not time yet." A relatively younger professor on the side frowned and looked inquisitive. "I think someone is behind this. Otherwise, it wouldn't have caused such a big commotion." Yi Qiliang smiled and said, "What does it matter if someone is behind this? As long as these things were true, it was fine. Hiding these rotten scars would only make them worse. He should take advantage of this opportunity to dig them out. Only when you grow new flesh can you improve." The people beside him looked at each other and seemed to have sensed something. "From what you've said, you seem to know something." Yi Qiliang didn't refute. He smiled and said, "That little teacher of ours has a good temper and doesn't like to fuss. But the one in her family is someone who dotes on people." Although Yi Qiliang had only met Hua Qinhuan a few times, he could tell that he cared a lot about Su Yiyan. His wife had painstakingly given birth to the child and was in the middle of her confinement period. How could he tolerate that? Everyone was not stupid. They immediately thought of the man who had personally come to the school to pick up Su Yiyan. They had also seen him from afar. "You mean?" Yi Qiliang did not answer directly. He only smiled and said, "It's good to dote on someone. Only those who know how to dote on someone will know how to protect them." Chapter 801. Su Yiyan went offline after she posted that post, so she did not see the chaos that followed. What she posted at that time was not considered a lie. She was about to finish her confinement and was busy preparing for her baby's full moon celebration. Hua Qinhuan remembered the doctor's words and did not stop her from doing these things. She only asked the family to cooperate with her and not let her be too tired. Previously, the background for little Kanji's full moon celebration was the azure blue of the sea. Su Yiyan wanted to give her baby a party that was different from others, so she naturally did not choose this color. After thinking about it, she finally decided to use bright yellow as the main color, which was just right for his name. The venue for the full moon celebration was a hotel under Jing Qinyang's name. This hotel was transferred to the little guy's name when he was born. Before he came of age, it was temporarily under Su Yiyan's care. In Jing Qinyang's words, he had nothing in his hands except for these properties. Since the little guy called him granduncle, as an elder, it was not strange for him to give the younger generation a greeting gift in advance. Su Yiyan. This family's habit of giving gifts to each other was really in the same vein. Many people were invited to the banquet. In addition to the relatives and friends of the Hua and Su families, Hua Qinhuan also kept her promise and invited all the employees in the company to join in the fun. Naturally, the employees of Su Yiyan's restaurant and the chefs of Hua Qinhuan's family were in charge of the food for the full moon celebration. Considering that there were too many people coming, they decided to use a buffet style and prepare in advance so that they could make up for it at any time. When the employees of Hua Qinhuan's company found out about it, they spontaneously gave a big red packet to the baby as a congratulatory gift. However, in the end, they basically returned it and only took 6 yuan as a courtesy. Just like that, other people's banquets were filled with toasts, groups of 2s and 3s chatting, hitting on each other, and probing each other. However, at Su Yiyan's banquet, a large group of people walked around as if nothing had happened, eating and eating. Occasionally, there would be a few people who would accidentally take a fancy to the same food as the other party. The man and woman who had taken the same piece of cake froze on the spot and looked at each other in surprise. The girl blinked and looked at the tall and handsome stranger in front of her. She asked tentatively, "You want to eat this too?" "Yes." "I'll give it to you then." The girl was too embarrassed to argue with him. After saying that, she sheepishly took back the tongs and prepared to find something else to eat. The man stared at her for a while. Suddenly, he picked up the pastry with a pair of tongs and placed it on the girl's plate. You eat it. Compared with this, I actually prefer to eat this." The man smiled at her and reached for the sandwich biscuit on the other side. The girl was shaken by the man's smile. She blushed and said, "Actually, I like to eat this too." "Really? What flavor do you like?" "I like strawberry." "What a coincidence, I also like strawberry flavor." "Nice to meet you, my name is," "Oh, hello, my name is." The same situation happened in every corner of the banquet. It meant that something wonderful was sprouting. All the relatives and friends that Su Yiyen could invite were basically here. In addition, a certain person who had disappeared after her and Hua Chenhuan's wedding was also here. Aunt? Chapter 802. Su Yiyen saw Su Yuding coming in from a distance. Her eyes lit up, and she trotted over with the child in her arms. "You're always so surprised." Su Yuding saw Su Yiyen coming over and hurried over to help her hold the child in her arms. "This must be little Xingxing. Aya, this little chubby face is so cute, and his facial features are so beautiful." The little guy in Su Yiyen's arms opened his big black grape-like eyes, as if he heard his great-aunt praising him. His little hands moved around and cried out. It seems that the little guy likes his aunt very much. "I like the little guy too." As Su Yuding spoke, she excitedly took out a delicate little box and said, "Baby, come and see what little gift I brought for you." Su Yuding brought a piece of jade for the little guy. Judging from its color, one could tell that it was valuable. Jade could nourish people. Su Yuding gave this thing in the hope that the little guy could grow up safely and healthily. Su Yiyen did not refuse and took it with a smile. "Then I'll thank you on behalf of the baby, Aunt." Su Yuding looked at the little boy in Su Yiyen's arms and was really envious. "It's inconvenient for you to carry things. Let me help you carry him." Su Yiyen saw through her thoughts at a glance, and the corners of her lips curled up slightly. "Sure, this little guy is very heavy. My hands are sore from carrying him." The little chubby baby was almost 8 kilograms when he was born. After a month of careful feeding, his weight had increased. Su Yiyen now felt strained to carry him for a little longer. The little guy was still silly and not afraid of strangers. After being carried by Su Yuding, he rolled his eyes and was full of curiosity. Su Yuding had not seen such a small child for a long time, and her heart softened. After greeting the guests, Mr. Su and the others also noticed Su Yiyen's movement. They came over and asked in surprise, "Little Ting, when did you come back?" "Just arrived." Mr. Su heard her words and could not help but feel a little emotional. His sister came and went in a hurry these years. The family had not sat down and talked for a long time. "Do you want to stay at home for a while this time?" "You?" "Yes. You've been traveling for a long time. You're not young anymore. It's time for you to settle down." Mr. Su tried his best to persuade Su Yuding before he realized what she had said. "What did you just say?" "You agreed?" Su Yuding smiled and nodded. "I came back this time to rest for a while. I won't be leaving." "You've thought it through?" Mr. Su was pleasantly surprised. Su Yiyen and Qing Xiuqin were also surprised. After the initial shock, he felt somewhat gratified. "It's good that you've thought it through. It's good that you've thought it through." The reason why Su Yuding had been drifting outside these days was mainly because of her sensitive identity. She was adopted by the Su family. After the 2 elders of the Su family passed away, her position was a little awkward. It was fine when he was studying. Most of the time, he lived in the dormitory. After graduation, he had to go home. After a long time, some people outside with dirty mouths always liked to use her identity to gossip about her. Su Yuting heard a lot of rumors. She did not want her family to be troubled by these rotten things, so she used the excuse of traveling. These years, she had been drifting outside and rarely came back. Now that she was finally willing to stay, didn't she think it through? Su Yuting looked at her few relatives in the world and dropped another bomb with a smile. Brother, sister-in-law, I'm going to get married. Chapter 803. What? Su Yuting's words were like a sudden clap of thunder. Everyone was confused and screamed out loud. Especially Su Yuting's father. The eldest brother was her father, and the eldest sister-in-law was her mother. After the two elders of the Su family passed away, he and Qing Shuqi naturally became Su Yuting's temporary guardians. In their eyes, Su Yuting was no different from Su Yuxuan and his sister. Su Yuting was 35 years old this year. It was reasonable to say that she should find someone she liked. But the point was that she had always believed in the principle of not getting married. She had been alone all these years, and they had never heard of her having anyone around her. Now that she finally came home, she directly skipped dating and said that she was going to get married. The first reaction of Su Yuting's father and the others was that their sister, aunt, must have been deceived by a stinky man outside. Su Yuting had no idea that she had become a fool in her family's eyes. Facing everyone's surprised eyes, Su Yuting said sweetly, "You didn't hear wrong. I'm going to get married." "So soon?" "Ting, you weren't deceived by. Right?" Before Su Yuting's father could finish, Qing Shuqin pulled him behind him. "Your brother means that we are all very happy that you found someone you like. But isn't it a bit too soon to say that you're going to get married as soon as you come back? After all, we haven't seen you, your boyfriend." Su Yuting knew what they were worried about. She opened her mouth and was about to explain when she saw a familiar figure coming in from outside. Su Yuting's eyes lit up slightly, and she waved at the person. The few of them saw her actions and subconsciously followed her gaze. They saw a man who looked to be about the same age as Su Yuting. He was tall and strong, and he looked quite simple and honest as he walked towards them. As soon as the man came closer, Su Yuting took the initiative to hold his hand and introduced him to them. "Brother, sister-in-law, this is my boyfriend, Du Jingshan." Du Jingshan looked at the two and smiled foolishly. "Brother, sister-in-law, hello. I'm Du Jingshan, Tingting's boyfriend. Everyone in the Su family." This man didn't look very smart. However, one could know a person's face but not his heart. A liar wouldn't write the word liar on his forehead. A man like Du Jingshan who looked very deceiving needed extra attention. Maybe their sister, aunt, was confused by his appearance. Thinking of this, Su's father and the others looked at Du Jingshan's eyes became more vigilant. "Did you come here together? You guys were together when you were abroad?" "Yes, we were together, and we came here together today. He went to find a parking space just now. I was anxious to see Yen Yen and the babies, so I came in first." Of the Sus of the Sus of the Su families of their eyes of their of the eyes of love of their eyes. Of the head of the head of the head of the head of the loves. Of this of the heads of the head of the of Su Yiyen had already brought the child back. Seeing her father's angry face, she was afraid that he would get angry on the spot, so she quickly helped to mediate. Cough. "Dad, Mom, Auntie, let's find a place to sit down and talk. There are too many people here." Su Yuting and the others then remembered that they were still at the banquet. It was indeed not a good place to talk with people coming and going. Su's father temporarily suppressed the anger in his heart and a lot of questions, and asked his daughter to help find a suitable place for them to talk. If he didn't clear up this matter today, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. Chapter 804. The hotel they were in was originally Jing Qinyang's property, and now it was temporarily transferred to Su Yian's name. It wasn't difficult for them to find a private room where they could have a conversation. Soon, the hotel staff helped them clear out a large private room and led them there. Hua Chenhuan was greeting the Lan family and did not come over immediately. Now that he heard that Su Yiyan had specially booked a small private room, he was puzzled but still came over. When Su Yiyan saw him, she immediately lowered her voice and took the initiative to share the current situation with him. Auntie has a boyfriend, and she said she wants to get married as soon as she came back. My dad's face darkened. I think my future brother-in-law will have a hard time today. After listening to his wife's explanation, Hua Chenhuan's eyes were also a little surprised. He had only met Su Yuding once when he married Su Yiyan. His impression of her was that she was a very energetic and opinionated woman. Su Yiyan had mentioned to him before that her auntie did not believe in marriage. Now that she suddenly said she wanted to get married, it was inevitable that he would be surprised. However, from Hua Chenhuan's impression of her, it was not impossible for Su Yuding to do this. As soon as they sat down, Father Su looked like he was interrogating a criminal. With a cold face, he asked several questions like a machine gun. Tell me, how did you meet? When did you start dating? How long have you been together? Who was the one who pursued who? Pfft. Su Yuding burst out laughing and said helplessly, Brother, you asked too many questions this time. Which one do you want him to answer first? Father Su glared at his sister and did not compromise. Answer carefully, don't leave out any of them. Brother, Father Su glared at her. Did I ask you? Let him say it himself. Su Yuding wanted to say something but was stopped by Du Jingshan, who smiled good-naturedly. I took the initiative to pursue Tingting. We first met in a city. At that time, Tingting went to the flower shop to buy flowers and bumped into me. I fell in love with her at first sight. Wait a minute, Qing Xiuqin heard this and hurriedly interrupted him. You said you met Tingting in a city? Then aren't you? Su Yuding was a little embarrassed. Actually, he has been pursuing me for almost 7 years. 7 years? Everyone in the room was shocked again. Why didn't we know anything about it? Su Yuding averted her gaze, feeling guilty for some reason. If I don't tell you, how would you know? The few of them choked, feeling stifled and depressed. There was also a sadness of being excluded. On the contrary, Su Yiyan was quite curious about the relationship between the two. She smiled faintly and asked, Auntie, you've been running around for the past few years, and he's been chasing you for 7 years. Does that mean he's also running around with you? Yeah. When Mr. Su and the others heard this, they couldn't sit still. A grown man who didn't have a good career and was running around chasing after a beautiful girl. No matter how they looked at it, it didn't sound reliable. What do you do? Du Jingshan subconsciously glanced at Su Yuding and said truthfully, I was a venture capitalist in my early years. Later, I made some money and bought an island by myself. Ahem, he bought a deserted island that no one wanted. The initial transaction was not big. But I didn't expect that after he bought it, he started to develop it. Not long after, he dug out a huge diamond mine on the island. That mine alone is enough to buy a few more islands like that. Everyone. Buying a deserted island and digging out a diamond mine? Was this the legendary, fortune favors fools? Chapter 805. Du Jingshan, who was really rich, touched his head embarrassedly and giggled. I've been lucky since I was a child, and I rarely fail in the things I invest in. Buying an island has been my dream since I was a child, but I didn't expect such a surprise after buying it. Su Yiyan and the others. Is this guy the legendary European king? Cough, besides this island, do you have any other industries? Brother. Su Yuding was a little dissatisfied with her brother asking these questions as if he was checking her account. Du Jingshan could understand that he was worried that his sister would suffer with him, so he wanted to know more about his family's situation. I have a lot of industries under my name, and they are a little scattered. Most of them are my private investments. Du Jingshan roughly explained his family's situation. His parents were still alive, but they had divorced in their early years and had their own small families. Generally, they wouldn't contact him. As for the businesses under his name, they were really many and scattered. Most of them were from his early investments. He hadn't been very diligent in managing them over the years, but he had been able to maintain a basic profit and accumulate a large amount of wealth for him. It was fine if Du Jingshan didn't say it, but after he said it, the few people present couldn't help but feel a little jealous. Sure enough, comparisons were odious. They had worked hard for decades, but they didn't earn as much as he casually invested everywhere. At this moment, everyone felt the crushing pressure from the European king, and they felt jealous on the spot. Father Su opened his mouth and just wanted to say something, but Du Jingshan had already giggled very sensibly. I like investing, but I don't know how to manage it. So, after I get married to Tingting, I'm going to transfer all these industries to Tingting and let her help me manage them. As soon as he said this, everyone was stunned again, especially the few girls present. They all cast him a look of admiration at the same time. Wow, this young man is quite sensible. He even knows to take the initiative to hand over his salary after marriage. In fact, when a girl cares about your little treasury, it may not be because she covets your money, but because she enjoys the care that you put in the tip of your heart. At least on this point, Du Jingshan passed the test. Just like Su Yuding, she was usually a very strong and independent person. When she heard Du Jingshan say that in front of so many people, her face couldn't help but reveal a little girl's shyness and sweetness. Su Yiyan, on the other hand, subconsciously glanced at Du Jingshan. She felt that compared to Wen Jingping and Hua Xiaofeng, this man in front of her was more like the son of heaven. He had the constitution of a koi fish. Putting aside the fact that he could earn money from whatever he invested in, the most important thing was that he didn't look like a bad person and had perseverance. He didn't know how to play tricks and snatch, and he wasn't like Hua Xiaofeng, who said that he liked you, but in fact, he never put you in the same position as him in his heart. If he didn't even show the least bit of respect, how could he gain the respect of others? Mr. Su choked. He really couldn't find fault with the person in front of him. He could only frown and ask, "You gave all your assets to Tingting. Aren't you afraid that she'll hold on to them and refuse to give them to you? If that's the case, you won't be able to invest whatever you want in the future." "I'm not afraid." Du Jingshan smiled foolishly, with a sweet look on his face as if he had already thought about their future. "If I really want to invest in something, I'll discuss it with Tingting. If it's reliable, I believe she'll understand. If it's not reliable, I'll have some time to cool down and not go out and spend money." Chapter 806. Du Jingshan couldn't help but touch his head again, which seemed to have become his habit when he was nervous. "I admit that I have some luck, but people say that the amount of good luck a person can have in his life is fixed. No one knows how long my good luck will last." Du Jingshan couldn't help but turn to look at Su Yuding. "In the past, I was full and the whole family wasn't hungry. Now that I want to build a small family with Tingting, it's not enough to rely on these illusory things. It's best to work hard to make money. I won't let Tingting and our future children suffer." After hearing this, Mr. Su silently crossed out his initial impression of this person and added, "He's simple and honest, but he's not a fool. He knows how to take care of his wife and children." Not bad. When Qing Xiuqin saw that her husband's expression had eased up, she knew that he didn't reject this future brother-in-law as much as before. Her lips curled up as she asked curiously, "You said that he pursued you for 7 years. When did you two officially get together?" The person who answered this question was not Du Jingshan, but Su Yuding. "In fact, it hasn't been that long, just this year. To be precise, it was after attending the wedding of Su Yiyan and Hua Chenhuan. When Su Yuding learned that her favorite niece was going to marry a wheelchair-bound disabled person, she, like most people, thought that Su Yiyan was just angry. But when she went to the wedding in person and saw the interaction between the two, all the original imagination was overturned. Two people who really loved each other, no matter how hard they tried to hide it, they couldn't fool everyone. But because she saw that they really loved each other, Su Yuding became more and more confused. Why did her niece, who was almost spoiled by the whole family since childhood, fall in love with a man who couldn't even walk by himself? This doubt rose to the top after meeting Du Jingshan again. What do you like about me? Du Jingshan was stunned. He didn't expect Su Yuding to suddenly ask him this. He smiled embarrassedly and said, I can't tell. The first time I saw you, there was a voice in my heart telling me that this is the person I want to be with for the rest of my life. That's it? Of course it's not just that. At first, I only had a good impression of you. But the more I interact with you, the more certain I am that you are the other half that I want. I have a bad temper, I'm not particularly beautiful, and I don't know how to do housework. I have a lot of shortcomings. You can throw a tantrum at me if you're unhappy. In my eyes, you're the prettiest. You don't have to do the housework. I can do it. If you think I'm not good enough, you can hire a nanny. I'll learn. After Du Jingshan finished speaking, he pursed his lips, as if he was a little annoyed with his clumsy tongue. He wanted to praise someone, but he couldn't come up with anything. Anyway, no matter how good other people are, I don't like them. No matter how many flaws you have, I like you. It was this sentence that made Su Yuding's heart tremble. For the first time, she found that there was such a person who only had eyes for her. It did not seem to be a bad thing. When it came to feelings, as long as the window paper was pierced through, success would naturally follow naturally. Su Yuding let go of her heart that had always been in front of Du Jingshan, and the relationship between the two gradually changed subtly. This change was so small that Su Yuding didn't notice it at first, until Du Jingshan didn't appear in front of her for 2 consecutive days. Chapter 807. This was something that had never happened between the two of them ever since they met. In the past, even when she went out for a trip, Du Jingshan would follow her from a distance. He was like a guardian, carefully protecting his goddess, but he didn't dare to approach her because he was afraid of offending her. He always made sure that she could see his figure whenever she turned her head without disturbing her. Su Yuding used to feel annoyed and impatient about this, but now she felt a sense of loss. She even thought that he was tired and didn't want to continue, or that he had a new person he liked. It wasn't until that moment that she realized that she had been used to someone following her, and used to seeing him every time she turned around. Unfortunately, it was too late. Su Yuding was a little depressed when she found out that she had fallen in love with someone. Early the next morning, she was planning to go to the next tourist destination to forget this ignorant relationship that had ended before it started. However, she saw someone standing at the door of the hotel with one hand in a plaster and a large bouquet of flowers in the other hand. Yuding, happy birthday. Later on, she found out that a certain someone wanted to give her a surprise for her birthday. He specially rented a place nearby and personally decorated it. As a result, he accidentally fell from the ladder and broke his hand. This was also the reason why he didn't show up yesterday. The hesitation in Su Yuding's heart completely collapsed at this moment. She took the bouquet from Du Jingshan and her eyes turned red on the spot. Seeing this, the silly man was very anxious. He walked around Su Yuding for a long time, trying to comfort her, but because of his clumsy mouth, he only said a few words, which made his face turn red. Su Yuding couldn't help but step forward, directly hugged Du Jingshan's neck, and whispered, "Fool." Du Jingshan was frozen. Before he had time to be happy that he was hugged by his goddess, he heard the word "fool," and the light in his eyes suddenly dimmed. But then he heard the second half of Su Yuding's words, "Let's be together." Du Jingshan was stunned. What? I said let's be together. You say it again. Let's be together. Du Jingshan let go of Su Yuding. His lips trembled slightly. His eyes were full of expectation, but he was also afraid that this was just a dream. Su Yuding looked at him and smiled through her tears. She pretended to be angry and said, "If you don't want to be with me, just pretend that I didn't say anything." No. Du Jingshan snapped out of his daze. "I'm just too happy. Can I hug you?" Su Yuding was almost amused by him. She couldn't believe that he had to ask for her permission in advance. Sure. Du Jingshan's eyes lit up and he immediately picked Su Yuding up. Cough, he spun her around like a child. Su Yuding recalled the scene at that time, and her eyes softened. Mr. Su saw the change in his sister's expression and knew that there was no turning back. He sighed and said seriously, "Have you thought it through?" "Yes." Su Yuding held Du Jingshan's hand tightly and smiled at him. "I want to marry him." This man who had loved her so foolishly for so many years, she was afraid that she would only meet one such man in her entire life. She wanted to keep him firmly by her side and not give him to anyone else. Chapter 808. Okay. After knowing what they needed to know, Qing Shuqin tugged at her husband's sleeve. "Yuding's love is the most important thing. And I think Yuding has good taste. Little Du is quite good. He has pursued Yuding for so long, which shows that he is a sentimental person. Now, the most important thing is to take good care of Yuding in the future." Pfft, Su Yiyen heard this and had a hard time holding back his laughter. "Mom, how could you call such a big guy who is 1.8 meters tall and as strong as a bull Little Du?" As if sensing Su Yiyen's emotions, Little Xingxing also cried out. Qing Shuqin thought that he was echoing her, so she immediately laughed and teased him. "Baby, you think so too, right?" Ah. Little Xingxing saw that his grandmother was talking to him, so he cried even more loudly. Mr. Su wasn't as angry as before. His wife gave him a way out, so he didn't struggle much. All right. You make it sound like I'm the bad guy who's trying to break up a couple. You're not young anymore. You should know what you're doing." After that, he turned to Du Jingshan and said, "You look quite honest. I hope you are. I only have one sister. If you dare to bully her, I will never let you go." No. Du Jingshan hurriedly said, "I will treat Tingting well. I will not let anyone bully her. Brother, please rest assured. That better be the case." Mr. Su did not refute the way Du Jingshan called him, which meant that he agreed to the marriage. Su Yuding and Du Jingshan looked at each other and said cheerfully, "Thank you, brother." "What are you thanking me for? You chose it yourself. As long as you don't regret it." After Su Yuding and Du Jingshan talked about the matter, the atmosphere between them was not as serious as before. As the hosts of the banquet, Su Yiyen and Du Jingshan could not leave for long. A group of people quickly left the small private room and went to find the people from the Cheng and Lan families. Hua Chenhuan's short absence made the two families sit together by coincidence. Because Su Yiyen had casually mentioned Qin Shueru's pregnancy when they were in the Lan family, the two families quickly became familiar with each other. Qing Juanhao and his wife, as well as Lan Minghan and his wife, brought their children over today. The Lan family's baby was 2 to 3 months younger than Little Porridge. He was also a boy. "Is this your Bao Bao?" He looked really sturdy. Previously, when young aunt came to our house, she mentioned that her aunt was also pregnant. She also shared with me many things that pregnant women should pay attention to. She said that she heard it from you. At that time, I really wanted to meet you. Qin Shueru did not expect such a reason. Her expression softened. "I'm old. When I was pregnant with this child, my family was more nervous. Your baby looks so good. He's white and chubby, pink and tender. He's not like our baby, who's so black like a charcoal ball." The little guy from the Lan family rarely went out. His little face was round and white. Compared to Little Porridge, who was brought out to show off every day by his grandfather, who had become a charcoal ball under the sun, they were the polar opposite. At this moment, the little guy was staring at Little Porridge without blinking. He seemed to be wondering why this baby, who was about the same age as him, was so black. When old Master Qing heard his daughter-in-law's words, he was not convinced. So what if he's black? It's healthy to be black. Yen Yen was much darker than him when he was young. Su Yiyen, who had just walked closer with the baby in her arms, heard this. "Grandpa, can you not sentence me in public so easily? Give your granddaughter some face. Chapter 809. Old Master Cheng's words made everyone laugh. Su Yiyen's mouth twitched slightly. Seeing that everyone was so happy, he didn't say anything in the end. In addition to these three families, Su Yiyen also sent an invitation to Ling Xiaoqi. It was just that Ling Xiaoqi came relatively late, and beside her was a flower protector. When Su Yiyen saw the two of them appear together, he was stunned. He sized them up and said jokingly, "You're here to attend my son's 1-month-old banquet with your family?" Ling Xiaoqi's expression froze, and then her face turned red. She stomped her feet anxiously and said, "Yiyen, what nonsense are you talking about? What family? We're not." "Not what?" Ling Xiaoqi choked and stole a glance at Ning Siyuan. "It's not what you think." Oh. Su Yiyen nodded perfunctorily and changed the topic. "If it's not what I think, then what is it?" Ling Xiaoqi pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Ning Siyuan's lips curved slightly, and he stood up to smooth things over for her. "Miss Su, don't make fun of us. Miss Ling and I met on the way, and it happened to be on the way, so we came together." Su Yiyen raised his eyebrows. "On the way?" Su Yiyen had been to the Ning family before, and Su Yiyen also knew where Ling Xiaoqi was staying now. The two places were in two completely different directions. "On the way? Like hell I'll believe you." However, considering that Ling Xiaoqi was thin-skinned, he might really anger her if he continued to tease her. It's indeed not safe for a girl like Xiaoqi to come out at night. I feel much more at ease now that President Ning can send her here on the way. "Thank you. Miss Su, you're too polite. It's just a small matter." The two of them looked at each other with a tacit understanding and laughed. Just then, Hua Chenhuan came over. Su Yiyen stuffed her baby into his arms and said in a low voice, "I'm going to the bathroom. You take the baby and greet them. I'll be back soon." Hua Chenhuan furrowed her eyebrows and said worriedly, "Me too, you want to go too?" Before Hua Chenhuan could say anything, Ling Xiaoqi, who had been eavesdropping, spoke first with a subtle expression, "Are you too serious? You even have to go to the bathroom together. So, are you going to the men's room or the women's room?" As soon as these words were spoken, the guests' gazes were all focused on Su Yiyen and Su Yiyen. Su Yiyen, Hua Chenhuan. Su Yiyen blushed and coughed softly. "We're just going to the bathroom. This is Uncle's territory. Nothing will happen." Hua Chenhuan was silent for a moment before compromising. "Come back early." "Okay." As soon as Su Yiyen left, Zai Zai immediately waved his little hands and cried out. And with his cry, everyone realized that this 1-month-old baby was being held in Hua Chenhuan's arms. Damn, the boss is holding the little prince. Isn't the point the boss's standard posture of holding a baby? It's obvious that he often holds the baby at home. Maybe he even helped change the baby's diapers. It's not impossible if you think about it carefully. With how much the boss cares about Madam, he definitely doesn't want Madam to be tired from taking care of the baby. Shouldn't he help? Are you stupid? It's not like the boss doesn't have a nanny at home. Why would he need Madam to take care of the baby? How tired can she be? Then explain why the boss's posture of holding the baby is so skillful. Chapter 810. She was met with a long silence. After some time, someone covered his face and wailed softly. The domineering CEO turned into a virtuous stay-at-home dad in a second. This is too much of a shock. I need to calm down. Ning Siyuan also needed to calm down. Ling Xiaoqi had visited the family Hua many times during Su Yiyen's confinement period, so she was used to seeing Hua Chenhuan with a baby. This was the first time Ning Siyuan had seen it. His gaze drifted to the child. He happened to see Hua Chenhuan looking down at Zai Zai in his arms. The father and son looked at each other, and the atmosphere was a little tense. If it had been anyone else, they would have cried when they saw Hua Chenhuan's cold face. However, the little guy seemed to be very happy. He waved his arms and babbled. Hua Chenhuan didn't know what he was saying. He shook him twice symbolically and asked with a serious face, "Are you hungry? Or do you want to pee? Ning Xiyuan. Wake up. He's only a month old. He cries when he's hungry or peeing. Do you think he needs to tell you in advance?" The employees who were gathered together and whispering not far away had already recovered from the initial shock. Once they accepted Hua Chenhuan's stay-at-home dad's side, their feelings towards their big boss instantly became complicated. On one hand, they felt that this was definitely not the domineering big boss who could stop children from crying at night. On the other hand, they felt that this big boss was too down-to-earth. They were in the same world and had the same father. No matter who you were, you had to feed your child and change his diapers when you became a stay-at-home dad. There were even a few people who were thinking rebelliously, "Little prince, give me a piss. I want to see the big boss change the little prince's diapers." A few female employees were mesmerized by Su Yiyan's baby's beauty. They were itching to take a few photos of the baby. Hua Chenhuan was holding Zai Zai. Father and son were in the same frame. To them, this was a scene from the heavens. His claws were restless, and he wanted to take out his phone to take a picture of this scene. However, he did not forget the identity of these two people and did not dare to act rashly. On the other hand, Yu Zian and the other two didn't have as many concerns. After being stunned for a while, the three of them decisively turned their cameras to Hua Chenhuan and started recording a short video. This extremely contrasting scene had to be recorded and stored properly. If Hua Chenhuan left them to work overtime in the future, they could take out this video and watch it. It would also be a consolation. As for whether he would be held accountable by Hua Chenhuan, in a while, they would pass a copy of this to young madam. With young madam around, no matter how angry young master was, he wouldn't do anything to them. They were really clever. Su Yiyan, who had no idea that she had become a scapegoat, couldn't wait to go back to see the little brat after going to the bathroom. In her anxiety, she did not notice that there was someone in the corridor outside the bathroom. One ran out, and the other walked in. The two of them inevitably bumped into each other. Su Yiyan screamed and subconsciously leaned back. She thought that she was going to fall to the ground this time, but an excessively white hand suddenly reached out and accurately grabbed her wrist, forcibly pulling her back. Su Yiyan steadied herself and patted her chest with lingering fear. She didn't come back to her senses for a long time, until, "Are you okay?" Su Yiyan finally remembered the person who bumped into her. She looked up and narrowed her eyes. Before she could finish speaking, she seemed to have realized something. Her face suddenly darkened. Damn it, this guy was still holding her hand and not letting go. Chapter 8:11. The man's hand was very cold, so cold that it was not the temperature that a human should have. This coldness came from the place where the two touched, and a row of goosebumps appeared on the back of Su Yiyan's hand. Su Yiyan struggled for a while, but she did not move at all. Her patience was also exhausted. "Sir, please let go of my hand, or else. Su Yiyan's eyes were full of hostility. "Or else you may not be able to keep your hand." Dou Tianyi was stunned, and then he could not help but laugh. Miss Su seems to be different from the rumors. Su Yiyan rubbed her aching wrist and frowned when she heard his words. "Do you know me?" Dou Tianyi did not answer directly, but asked back, "Miss Su doesn't know me? Why should I know you?" Dou Tianyi looked at her deeply and smiled. "It's okay if you don't know me. You will know me soon." Su Yiyan's face changed slightly. Just as she was about to say something, Dou Tianyi had already turned and left. Su Yiyan subconsciously took a step forward and stopped. She looked at his back as he walked away with a complicated expression on her face. What was this person doing here? The person in question had already left, so there was no way to answer this question. Su Yiyan pursed her lips and turned back to the banquet. Hua Chenhuan had been waiting outside for a long time. When she saw her come out, she immediately went to greet her. What took you so long? Something happened. Su Yiyen said as she carried the baby back, looking serious. What happened? I just met Do Tianyi at the bathroom door. Do Tianyi? Hua Chenhuan's face changed immediately. Thinking about how Do Tianyi had never given up on searching for Su Yiyen, Hua Chenhuan immediately pulled Su Yiyen over nervously. Did he do anything to you? No. Su Yiyen shook her head and briefly explained what had happened. I wanted to come back to you guys as soon as possible. When I came out, I was in a hurry and bumped into him at the bathroom door. He helped me up and left without saying a word. Hua Chenhuan looked at the red mark on Su Yiyen's wrist that had yet to fade. Her eyes were deep and serene. Just like Su Yiyen, he also felt that Do Tianyi's appearance here and his encounter with Su Yiyen was definitely not as simple as a coincidence. Most importantly, how did he get in here? In order to hold the little fellow's 1-month-old birthday party, this hotel had closed its doors today and specially emptied the venue. Non-invitees were not allowed to enter. Logically speaking, Do Tianyi should not have been able to enter. Su Yiyen was reminded by him and realized that something was wrong. She frowned and said, maybe he got in with someone's invitation. They had sent out neither too many nor too few invitations. Just the employees of Hua Chenhuan's company alone had sent out an unknown number of invitations. With Do Tianyi's ability, it was not difficult for him to get an invitation and sneak in. However, if this was the case, it further proved that his appearance here today was intentional and not a coincidence. Hua Chenhuan thought deeper than Su Yiyen. If Do Tianyi really got an invitation from someone else and sneaked in, if this person was a businessman, it would be fine. But if this person was an employee of his company, he sold his invitation just for a little money. This alone could not be allowed to stay. Moreover, most of the employees in his company had some guesses about Su Yiyen's identity. If he had really been bribed, then Do Tianyi had already. Chapter 8:12. Hua Chenhuan's eyes were cold. He had already begun to think about how to get someone to investigate the people under him. Although Su Yiyen didn't think as much as he did, she could guess the main reason why Do Tianyi suddenly appeared here. Chenhuan, do you think he already knows? Knows what? Knows that I'm the owner of the medicinal cuisine restaurant. Hua Chenhuan's eyes were slightly cold. Why do you ask? He just called me Miss Su directly and asked me how I didn't know him. From his tone, he seemed to be very sure that I know him, but I haven't met him before. At least, she hadn't met him as the Miss of the Su family and Hua Chenhuan's wife. When Hua Chenhuan heard this, he had already guessed it in his heart. He comforted her. It's also possible that when Jingping mentioned you to him. Su Yiyen pursed her lips and didn't say anything. Do Tianyi's attitude towards her today was very strange. It wasn't bad. It even had some intimacy and inexplicable familiarity. If he really knew her from Wen Jingping, his attitude would definitely not be like this. No matter what, he must have some ulterior motive for appearing at this time. You should be careful these days. Don't contact him. Although she said so, Su Yiyen certainly wouldn't take the initiative to contact him. However, judging from today's situation, someone might not have such self-awareness. The banquet in the hotel was still in full swing. No one noticed that someone had left early. Outside the hotel, a black car that almost blended into the night waited for a long time. Finally, its real owner arrived. Boss. Li Yu looked at the man who sat in the back seat. His face was as pale as paper, and some cold sweat could be faintly seen on his forehead. She looked worried. Do Tianyi leaned against the back seat for a while. Finally, his face was not as ugly as before. I'm fine. Li Yu looked at him with some disapproval. Boss, if you want to see Miss Su, you can ask someone to invite her over. Why do you have to go through so much trouble to attend such a small banquet? Your body. Before Li Yu could finish speaking, Do Tianyi had already glanced over. Li Yu's words came to an abrupt end as she shut her mouth in embarrassment. However, her gaze towards Do Tianyi was still somewhat depressed and worried. Dou Tianyi coughed twice. His face regained some color, and his eyebrows were slightly furrowed. He was a little annoyed. He had only been out for a short walk for less than an hour, but he was already so tired. His body really couldn't drag on any longer. Invite her? Are you sure? Li Yu choked for a moment. Putting aside the fact that Miss Su was not willing to come when they invited her, just the bodyguards around her were not simple. Even if they used force, they might not be able to bring him out. Even so, you don't have to be in such a hurry to see her. It's not like you don't know that Miss Su's impression of you right now might be. I know that her impression of me definitely won't be good. Then some people and some things are just rumors. Seeing is believing. Dou Tianyi knew that because of Wen Jingping and the drama in Hai Yi, Su Yiyan might already know about him and might not have a good impression of him. However, he still wanted to see with his own eyes this woman who might be able to let him live a few more years. He wanted to see if she was as good as the rumors said, and if she was worthy of his special treatment. Chapter 8:13. Li Yu was silent for a moment, then asked tentatively, "What's your answer?" Dou Tianyi's lips curled up slightly as he replied, "She's different from that woman." He seemed to have said something, but also seemed to have said nothing. Li Yu opened her mouth, but in the end, she didn't ask anything. The guests who came to congratulate them ate until their bellies were round. As the star of the banquet, the little guy earned a lot. Su Yiyan and the others felt relieved and didn't accept the red packets from the company, but they couldn't stop the Qing family and the Lan family from bringing gifts directly. Su Yiyan and Li Yu naturally couldn't ask people to take it back, so they helped the baby keep it. After the event, there were a lot of gifts. Su Yiyan couldn't help but sigh. No wonder everyone wants to be rich. He's so little, but he received so many gifts when he was only a month old. Selling him can guarantee that he won't have to worry about food and clothing in the future. Why would he need to work hard in the future? Don't you think so? Don't you think so? Su Yiyan poked Zai Zai's chubby little face as she looked at him. Zai Zai thought that she was playing with him, so he moved his hands and opened his mouth to smile, revealing his toothless teeth and the little dimple on the right side of his face. This dimple was inherited from Su Yiyan. When she was young, Qing Xiuqin especially liked to poke her dimples. Now, Su Yiyan liked to poke her own Zai Zai. It could be said that they came from the same lineage. Hua Qinhuan looked at his wife and child from the side, and his eyes were full of a warm smile. They have to be returned. Outsiders always talked about how rich people were, but in fact, rich people were also people, and they also had relationships. No matter how many gifts others gave their children, they would have to return them in the future. It was like children happily receiving red packets during the new year, but they didn't think about how many red packets others gave them. Their parents had to return the same amount. They even had to add more when they returned. That's true. Su Yiyan suddenly stopped being envious. She tidied up all these things and held them in her arms. Okay, these are all mine. Hua Qinhuan? As if she could read Hua Qinhuan's mind, Su Yiyan smiled a little treacherously. There is a kind of love in this world called mom and dad help you save your red packet. Hua Qinhuan was amused by her. You are so experienced. Did you encounter the same thing when you were young? I have, but not to this extent. When Su Yiyan was young, the Su family wasn't as rich as it was now. In addition, Old Master Cheng's identity was rather special, so the Qing family was used to keeping a low profile. Her birthday definitely wasn't as grand as her son's. She didn't have as many relatives and friends visiting, and the gifts she received weren't as luxurious as the ones her son received. Hearing her words, Hua Qinhuan leaned over and hugged her waist. She smiled faintly and said, "When it's your birthday next year, I'll also hold a big party for you." Su Yiyan couldn't help laughing. "I'm not a child anymore," she rebuked. "It's not like only children can celebrate their birthdays. Besides..." Hua Qinhuan didn't finish his sentence. Su Yiyan didn't wait for him to continue for a long time, so she turned to look at him in confusion. Hua Chenhuan seemed to have been waiting for this moment. He took the opportunity to kiss her and said softly, "You're not a child. You're my baby." Su Yiyen was stunned. She immediately blushed. The two parents were so lovey-dovey that they obviously forgot about the little accident on the bed. Until the little girl was unhappy that she was ignored and started crying. Su Yiyen and Hua Chenhuan. They were done for. They had taught the child the wrong things. Chapter 8:14. After the baby's 1-month-old celebration, Su Yiyen was also out of confinement. Dun Dun, who had been fostered at Ling Xiaoqi's place, was also sent back. Along with it was the little male puppy that Hua Hua gave birth to. This puppy's name was Silly Boy. When Su Yiyen heard it before, she almost choked. Of all the names, she had to call him Silly Boy. Was she trying to bully it because it didn't understand the meaning of these two words? Later, after coming into contact with this puppy, Su Yiyen realized that she had wronged Ling Xiaoqi. This dog was indeed a silly boy. Specifically, this dog's reaction was always half a beat slower. When called, it would always be stunned for more than 10 seconds before it could react. In addition, this dog was the largest of the 3 dogs that were born at the same time. When it was at Ling Xiaoqi's house, the little guy was always very enthusiastic about helping his sister lick her fur. In the end, because it was too strong, it always licked his sister until she rolled on the ground. In the eyes of Hua Hua and Dun Dun, the older brother was deliberately bullying his sister. They slapped the puppy to the ground. This dog could not learn. Next time, it would still run to help its sister lick her fur. Moreover, it did not improve at all. It would be slapped to the ground by its parents again. Su Yiyen. This dog was not only a silly boy, but also a bachelor. When Dun Dun was brought back from Ling Xiaoqi's house, it was still a little unhappy. It directed and acted out a scene with Hua Hua to send them off. But as soon as it returned to the family Hua, this guy immediately showed its true colors. It arrogantly took its eldest son to every corner of the house. It seemed to be showing off to its son. "Look, this is the country that your father fought for. In the future, half of it will be yours." Little Xingxing was very curious about the 2 dogs that had suddenly appeared at home. When it held the milk bottle and drank milk, its eyes stared unblinkingly at the 2 dogs' buttocks. When Su Yiyen saw this scene, he suddenly remembered that when he had first flirted with Hua Chenhuan, he had used Dun Dun's heart-shaped butt. The little fellow was the fruit of her and Hua Chenhuan's love. Su Yiyen did not find it strange that she was interested in this. Instead, she felt like laughing. Dun Dun, on the other hand, had an innate sense of superiority towards this new 2-legged beast. This was the 2-legged beast that came out of its master's stomach. It looked really fragile. It had been more than a month, but it still needed to be carried around. It couldn't even walk on its own. Forget it, forget it. Seeing that this 2-legged beast looked quite similar to its master, it would share some of its territory with him. Ling Xiaoqi raised the 2 dogs very well. They had been vaccinated, and she often bathed and groomed them. Su Yiyen did not guard against them and did not allow them to get close to the child. At this moment, he saw Dun Dun take the initiative to approach little Xingxing. It even put its paws on the side of little Xingxing's cradle and helped to push it. There was a hint of a smile in his eyes. In the eyes of Su Yiyen and Hua Chenhuan, the baby's full moon ceremony was just a small ceremony to share with friends and relatives that there was a new member in the family. However, in the eyes of some people, the impact of this ceremony was far more than that. This point was greatly demonstrated in the following week. The head of the technical department, report. The flower of the Human Resources Department is no longer single. As soon as this message appeared in the company's large group chat, it immediately caused a huge commotion. The pillar of the publicity department, in the end, it was the wrong choice. Blood tears. JPG, everyone in the company knew that the big boss of the publicity department liked the flower of the Human Resources Department. He had been pursuing her for a long time but had not been able to win her over. They did not expect that in just a few days, someone else would intercept him. Chapter 8:15. For a moment, rows and rows of stroking a dog's head emojis appeared in the group. After comforting this lovelorn young man, everyone in the company had to face an extremely sad matter. Single dog number 1 of the secretarial department. From today onwards, the single dogs in the company have lost another target to pursue. The fertile water has flowed into the fields of outsiders after all. Vicissitudes of life lighting up cigarettes. JPG, flower of the technical department, this is the 6th this week, right? After the most popular guy in the technical department, the flower of the publicity department, Little Wu from the legal department, Little Zhang from the finance department, and Little Li from the logistics department, the flower of the human resources department also could not escape the love magic network. Lady at the front desk, QAQ, why are so many people no longer single, but I'm still single. The person pursuing Little Wu seems to be an especially handsome rich second-generation heir. It's said that he's super good-looking and doesn't lose to the little fresh meats in the entertainment industry at all. Sob sob sob, when will such a handsome and rich man like me take a fancy to me? I just want to be in a sweet and romantic relationship. Lady at the publicity department, good girl, stop dreaming, you're shameless. Flower of the technical department, above me, love at first sight is not about love, it's about face. Although others might be able to see your brilliance after coming into contact with you, who would be able to see you if you didn't have a beautiful face that still shone brightly in the crowd? Not to mention interacting with you. The lady at the front desk did not receive a reply for a long time after she sent this message. Flower of the technical department, eh? Where is she? Little number 2 at the front desk. She ran away to cry. Flower of the technical department, brother at the secretarial department, speaking of which, the recent singles seem to have all met at the little prince's 1-month birthday party. Lady at the publicity department, that's normal. Usually, there are only a few people around. If there was a call, it would have come long ago. If you go to the party, you can meet more people you haven't met before. Maybe you'll fall in love. Brother at the secretarial department, what I mean is, there are so many single dogs in the company. Are you really not considering having a social gathering with the other subsidiaries? Everyone, after a short silence, many people had an exclamation mark in their hearts. That's right. Facing these old rookies all day long, when would they be able to get out of singleness? They might as well have a social gathering. Maybe their prince, princess, on a white horse would appear. A large number of single dogs in the company began to stir, but they did not dare to run directly to the boss to make a request. They could only secretly run to their own department heads to give feedback. Then, it would be passed on to Yuzian and the others. Just like that, Yuzian and the others inexplicably received a lot of proposals for the future development and reform of the company from various departments. Among them, the one floating at the top was a request for several companies to organize a social gathering. There were many reasons below, such as, because there have been more single people in the company recently, it has caused the employees to be impetuous, which affects the employees' physical and mental health and work efficiency. Friendship can deepen the mutual ties between the subsidiaries, and if it can develop into a romantic relationship, it can promote the continuous and harmonious development of the two companies. He made it sound so high-sounding. Wasn't he just trying to take advantage of their company's cabbage? How could they not know what these pigs were thinking? However, despite their disdain, the three of them discussed for a while and decided to report this matter back to Hua Qinhuan and let him make the decision. Hua Qinhuan never thought that he would one day receive a social gathering report from his subordinates. His face darkened on the spot, and his eyes narrowed dangerously. He secretly wondered if some people had too much free time recently. Should he find something else for them to do? Chapter 8:16. Achoo! Yuzian sneezed loudly. He wrapped his arms around his chest and shivered from the cold. Why do I feel so cold all of a sudden? Am I suffering from some kind of terminal illness? Should I ask young mistress to take a look at me? Hearing this, Gu Xiaoyang rolled his eyes. From experience, This kind of situation usually means that you are about to face a great disaster. Disaster? Yu Xian's expression changed immediately. What disaster? I haven't done anything recently. Did you forget the proposal we sent to young master this morning? You mean? Yu Xian's expression stiffened, and he said with some hope, "Ha ha ha ha, this matter shouldn't be so serious that it's going to be a disaster, right?" Gu Xiaoyang didn't comment. Who knew what young master was thinking? Yu Xian and the others didn't realize that they were on the verge of death. They kept jumping around and could send themselves to hell at any time. Su Yiyan had just gone upstairs when she saw her man sitting in front of the floor-to-ceiling window with a dark face. She couldn't help but feel a little strange. What's wrong? Did something happen at the company? Nothing. Why do you look so upset? Su Yiyan said as she sat in Hua Chenhuan's arms and poked his face. Su Yiyan was probably the only person in the world who dared to treat him like this, and he didn't have to worry about Hua Chenhuan's revenge. Hua Chenhuan let her poke him a few times before he grabbed her hand and explained the matter briefly. Friendship party? Su Yiyan blinked in surprise and curiosity. Why do you want to have a friendship party all of a sudden? Hua Chenhuan looked at her with a complicated expression. This might be our fault. How does it have anything to do with us? Hua Chenhuan didn't say anything. Instead, he pulled up the discussion in the company's group chat so that she could understand the matter more directly. Unexpectedly, Su Yiyan's first reaction when she saw the group chat was, "You actually opened a smurf account in the company's group chat." Hua Chenhuan. Was that the main point? Moreover, what's wrong with opening a side account? Who didn't have a few sock puppets these days? I'm still a sock puppet in your live stream. Su Yiyan naturally knew this as well. After complaining, she began to look at the chat records of the company's employees. Only then did she realize that the reason why they wanted to hold a social gathering was that on the day of the full moon banquet, several of the company's single partners had left their single partners. As a result, the company was overflowing with dog food, and the single dogs were dejected. The corner of Su Yiyan's mouth twitched. She really couldn't understand how the baby's full moon celebration had turned into a blind date. I won't take the blame for this. Obviously, it's them, Tortoise and Green Bean, who like each other. What does it have to do with us? Maybe they already know each other, but they just haven't confirmed their relationship before. Hua Chenhuan looked at Su Yiyan's fearful expression, and her face was not as dark as before. She chuckled softly and said, "According to what I know, these people who have left their single partners all harmoniously discussed the food they ate that night, and strongly recommended a few dishes to each other. Only then did they like each other and develop a relationship." What the hell? Hooking up with each other so easily? Are you sure these people who have left their single partners aren't foodies? It's getting harder and harder to understand the thoughts of young people these days. Hua Chenhuan couldn't help but laugh. Then why don't we not let them hold it? Don't. Su Yiyan looked at Hua Chenhuan plaintively. Let them hold it. It's bad enough that the singles are abused. If this drags on, perhaps no one will want them in the future. Chapter 8:17. Fortunately, the employees of Hua Chenhuan's company were not here. Otherwise, they would have died on the spot. After Su Yiyan finished speaking, she keenly felt that something was wrong. Do they want all the people in your subsidiaries to participate? Yes. Hua Chenhuan frowned and explained, they think that more people means more choices. Most of the people in my company know each other. If it's only held within my company, it may not be effective. That's right. After all, the choice is two-way. You like them, but they may not like you back. Is that so? Hua Chenhuan raised her eyebrows slightly. She stepped forward and put her arms around Su Yiyan's waist. If I didn't like you in the first place, what would you do? You don't like me? Su Yiyan narrowed her eyes and chuckled. Then I don't want you anymore. The smile on Hua Chenhuan's face suddenly froze, and the atmosphere around her became colder. Su Yiyan was not scared at all. She asked, "Would you not like me?" "No." "Then that's it." Su Yiyen did not give Hua Chenhuan a chance to respond. She reached out and hugged Hua Chenhuan's neck. "What about you?" "What?" "If you like me, but I don't like you, what would you do?" Hua Chenhuan said without thinking, "You like me." "I mean, if you like me, but I don't like you, what would you do?" Hua Chenhuan subconsciously wanted to say that it was impossible. However, when she met Su Yiyen's eyes, she suddenly could not say that. If you don't like me, I will try my best to make you like me." "How will you try your best to make me like you?" Hua Chenhuan was stunned. She met Su Yiyen's eyes. The unspeakable thoughts in her heart suddenly came out, and the hands holding her trembled slightly. It wasn't fear or anger, but excitement. "I will hide you in a place where no one can see you. I will be the only one there. I won't hurt you, but I will imprison you and restrict you. I won't let you meet anyone, and you can only have me in your world. I will make myself your world." In the end, Hua Chenhuan couldn't bear to hurt her. No matter how much he wanted to force her to fall in love with him, he didn't dare and didn't want to hurt her. Su Yiyen had always been aware of Hua Chenhuan's subtle possessiveness towards her. Back when her legs were crippled, she might have been able to restrain it. But now, this possessiveness was becoming more and more obvious. She just didn't expect that Hua Chenhuan had held back for so long and only had the idea of imprisoning her. She thought that she would have to experience mental and physical torture, especially the melodramatic entanglement of getting your heart even though he couldn't get you. It wasn't exciting at all. Why did she suddenly feel a little disappointed? At that time, if Hua Chenhuan had known what Su Yiyen was thinking, he would have realized that all these years of endurance were useless. He would have turned into a wolf on the spot and executed Su Yiyen on the spot. "You're giving advice in hindsight." Su Yiyen curled her lips and glared at Hua Chenhuan with disgust. "I don't know who was the one who didn't even dare to appear in front of me. She watched her nephew get engaged with me and was indifferent. I wasn't indifferent." Before Su Yiyen finished speaking, Hua Chenhuan had already interrupted her. "I wasn't indifferent. When you got engaged, I was so jealous that I wanted to kill someone." Chapter 8:18. Su Yiyen was stunned, and her eyes suddenly felt a little hot. "Since you are so jealous that you want to kill someone, why don't you take me away?" Hua Chenhuan pursed his lips and did not speak. "I know even if you don't say it. You are afraid of involving me. You are afraid that I won't like you. You are afraid that I won't be happy with you." Su Yiyen hugged Hua Chenhuan's waist tightly and scolded in a low voice, "You fool. How do you know that I don't like you if you don't fight for it?" "Well, I am a fool." Hua Chenhuan agreed unconditionally. When he recalled what Su Yiyen said, he felt as if he had been separated from them for a lifetime. It had only been 2 years, but it seemed as if a lifetime had passed. Those things seemed to have only happened in his previous life. Su Yiyen nestled in Hua Chenhuan's arms and was silent for a long time. Then she said in a muffled voice, "Fortunately." "What?" "Fortunately, we are in love with each other." Hua Chenhuan was stunned. After he reacted, he chuckled and said, "Yes, fortunately, we are in love with each other." Su Yiyen couldn't help laughing when she saw him laughing. She looked at his eyes that reflected her and said softly, "You are my whole world now." Hua Chenhuan's eyes flickered, and with a trace of piety, he lowered his head and kissed her forehead. "You are also my whole world." Su Yiyen's face flushed. She coughed softly and said, "Since they want to do it, let's do it. By the way, call the bachelors of the Hua Corporation of the right age. If they want to do it, let's do it big, so that we won't have to spend more effort in the future." After that, she seemed to think of something and frowned slightly. "Isn't it bad to let the people of the Hua Corporation get involved? Let's forget it and let these companies deal with it themselves." Although Hua Chenhuan had used Hua Xiaofeng's insignificant help to pull Hua Qihan down from the position of the head of the Hua Corporation without much effort. However, Hua Qihan had been in charge of the Hua Corporation for so many years. Even if he wasn't the person in charge, there must be a lot of his people left. When the Hua Corporation changed hands, these people were worried that the new boss would make drastic changes. They didn't know when they would be implicated, so they temporarily quieted down. But if you ignore them for a long time, who knows when they will run out and bite you, biting off a piece of meat from your body. This was also the reason why Hua Qinhuan was initially reluctant to take over the Hua Corporation. The current Hua Corporation was no longer the Hua Corporation her father had founded. It was no longer the Hua Corporation that her father had founded. The various forces were intertwined, and no matter what, they would be eaten into an empty shell sooner or later. If they were to spend the effort to get rid of them, it would be better to directly overthrow them and rebuild a new company. It's okay. Your suggestion is very good. Let's do it. Su Yiyan looked surprised. Are you okay? It'll be fine. Xiao Yang and the others will keep an eye on it. Maybe we can use this to lure out some people who are unwilling to be left out. In that case, you will have contributed greatly. Su Yiyan was stunned for a while before she understood what Hua Qinhuan meant. She exclaimed, "You mean, a honey trap? Why is it a honey trap and not a honey trap?" That's fine, but aren't the companies under you all engaged in research and development? Generally speaking, aren't there more boys in this kind of business? The success rate of a honey trap should be higher than a honey trap. To be honest, it did make sense. So, is it what I think it is? Yes. Tisk, TSK, TSK. Sure enough, you people who play tricks have dirty hearts. You can think of a honey trap for a good blind date. You are too scheming. Chapter 8:19. Su Yiyan, who was busy lamenting about how scheming capitalists were, had obviously forgotten that the initial incentive for this handsome man trap came from her casual suggestion. By the way, speaking of the Hua Corporation, how is the matter with Hua Xiaofeng? Hearing Su Yiyan ask about Hua Xiaofeng, the smile on Hua Qinhuan's face immediately disappeared. Su Yiyan saw the change in his expression and frowned. He still refuses to talk. Is he deliberately playing with us? He said that he would only be willing to show evidence when Wen Jingping's reputation is completely ruined. Wait until Wen Jingping's reputation is completely ruined? Su Yiyan felt that this was a big trap. The male and female protagonists' halos were linked together. In order to ruin Wen Jingping's reputation, wouldn't they have to deal with Dou Tianyi first? Thinking of Dou Tianyi, Su Yiyan felt a headache coming on. Wen Jingping was easy to deal with. If it weren't for the fact that Su Yiyan was afraid that if she died, it would cause the world to collapse, she would have been defeated a long time ago. But this Dou Tianyi, it's okay. I didn't have much hope for him in the first place. But, do you know why Uncle suddenly came back? Su Yiyan looked confused. She didn't understand why this matter was related to her uncle again. Didn't he come back to see us and the baby? This is only one of the reasons. There are other reasons. He found some clues about the accident my parents were involved in back then and followed the clues to come back to the country. Su Yiyan's expression changed slightly. You're saying that the group of people who killed your parents might still be lurking somewhere in the country? Hua Qinhuan looked at his wife's suddenly pale face and knew what she was worried about. He subconsciously tightened his arms around her and comforted her. It's just a possibility. Moreover, it's been so many years, they might not be alive. In Hua Qinhuan's opinion, bad people like them would never lay down their butcher's knife and wash their hands of gold. They might have already died at the hands of others without them knowing. Of course, these words were only meant to comfort Su Yiyan and put her at ease for the time being. Compared to believing that they were all dead, Hua Qinhuan was more willing to believe that they were still alive, and that sooner or later, they would fall into his and his uncle's hands. Uncle is already investigating. I believe there will be results soon. Hua Qinhuan quickly changed the topic. Your brother came to see you just now. What's the matter? Su Yiyan wanted to ask more, but she knew that Hua Qinhuan didn't want her to continue asking. She bit her lip and chose to compromise. It's nothing important. It's just that the research institute said that Professor Yi and the others want to prioritize purchasing a batch of finished Chinese medicinal herbs as teaching materials. The research institute was worried that they would make me unhappy if they gave them a green light, so they asked my brother to come and ask me. The director of the research institute was also in a difficult position. On one side was his own teacher, and on the other side was a prestigious retired senior in the institute. If he didn't handle it well, it would turn into a bloody battlefield. The best solution was to first ask for Su Yiyan's consent and not offend either side. Hua Chenhuan more or less guessed some of the twists and turns in this matter. He smiled faintly and said, "What's your answer?" I agreed. Take it as a thank you for their righteous words before. As soon as Su Yiyan agreed, Yi Qiliang received the news. Let's not talk about how happy they were for the time being. Su Yiyan was out of confinement and it was time for her to go back to Dongqing City. Before she returned to the company, Su Yiyan understood what Dou Tianyi meant when he said, "We'll get to know each other soon," on the night of his 1-month birthday party. Chapter 820. Yan Yan, welcome back. Su Yiyan had just entered Dongqing when she bumped into Xia Junsheng, who had specially come to pick her up. Brother Junsheng, thank you for your hard work while I was away. It's my pleasure. Xia Junsheng smiled and led Su Yiyan upstairs. Returning to her office after half a year, Su Yiyan felt like a lifetime had passed. Especially since she had been busy with her pregnancy and postpartum confinement, Xia Junsheng had not bothered her with the company's internal affairs as long as they were not too important. After being idle for so long, Su Yiyan was not used to suddenly returning to work. Fortunately, after sitting down, Su Yiyan quickly regained her composure and went straight to the point. You said on the phone that Hai Yi wants to work with us. Yes. Xia Junsheng handed the proposal that he had prepared earlier to Su Yiyan. This is the proposal that they sent over. Su Yiyan took the document and flipped through it. They want to work with us on a variety show and a Xianxia TV series? Yes. Hai Yi also specifically pointed out that if the cooperation is successful, Hai Yi will send Zhong Yi to take charge of the variety show and Zhuo Wanshu will join the series. Zhong Yi's position in Hai Yi was just like Shui Kaiwei and Hong Hui's position in Dongqing. Hai Yi was indeed sincere to write him into the cooperation proposal. As for Zhuo Wanshu? Su Yiyan raised her eyebrows. The second female lead who had a fight with Wen Jingping? Yes, that's her. Hai Yi is really willing to spend a lot of money. Although Zhuo Wanshu's PR was done well and created the image that she was dedicated to her work, she had to withdraw from the cast due to her illness so as not to drag the crew down. However, anyone with a discerning eye could see that this matter was actually quite embarrassing. Two female artists of the same company had a public fight. It was embarrassing. No matter who the company helped, they would lose face. When this matter first came out, Su Yiyan, like many people, thought that Zhuo Xiaohua was done for. Who would have thought that in the next few months, not only was Miss Zhuo not frozen out, but her career had even improved. Su Yiyan then realized that Wen Jingping's position in Dou Tianyi's heart might not be as important as she thought. After learning that Wen Jingping was actually not living under the same roof as Dou Tianyi, she was even more certain of this idea. Now, Hai Yi Entertainment had sent Zhuo Wanshu over as one of the bargaining chips for their cooperation. Was it a show of goodwill or something else? Su Yiyan stared at the proposal for a while, then suddenly asked, "Do I look like a fool to you?" "It doesn't look like it." Su Yiyan snorted and threw the proposal back to Xia Junsheng. "Then reject it. If he wants to cooperate, then cooperate. Do you think I don't care about my reputation?" Although there were no eternal enemies in the business world, only eternal benefits. However, Dou Tianyi was a strange person, and his attitude towards her was inexplicably ambiguous. He was not a good person to cooperate with. Xia Junsheng was relieved when he heard what she said. Obviously, he was not optimistic about this cooperation. "How's the company doing while I was away?" "It was pretty good. The artists you had your eyes on are now on the right track. According to the route you arranged for them, they did not arrange too many jobs or endorsements. They focused on learning. Su Yiyen was suddenly interested. Didn't they complain at all? Chapter 8:21. There must be complaints, but they're just complaining. In private, they're quite well behaved, and they're not half-hearted in their work. That's good. We can arrange some better resources for them. Especially for Huang Zitong and the others. We can arrange for the endorsements that we had our eyes on before. Everyone saw Su Yiyen's protectiveness. The reason why she didn't give these people a lot of resources from the beginning was because she wanted to give them two reasons. Firstly, he wanted to give these people some time to find their own positions. Secondly, he wanted to see how these people's mental fortitude was after suddenly becoming famous. The reason why this industry was so flashy was that some inexplicable dirty things were one reason. Another reason was that artists liked to be arrogant when they became famous. What she wanted was a money tree that could suck in money for a long time. She didn't want to be a weed that could be trampled on by anyone who wanted to dig their own grave. How are the filming of the dramas that you invested in before? A few of them have been finished. The fast ones have been submitted for review, and the slow ones are still in post-production editing. It may take a month or two to finish filming the period dramas and xianxia dramas that have relatively long plots. Su Yiyen's eyes flashed slightly, and she nodded. Okay, I see. Su Yiyen received an olive branch from Hai Yi as soon as she went to work. She was in a subtle mood. On the other side, Hua Chenhuan, who had shamelessly taken more than half a year of paternity leave, also encountered a little trouble. Ever since Hua Chenhuan had appeared at the company's shareholders' meeting and removed Hua Qihan from the position of the company's head at lightning speed and replaced him, Hua Qihan had been looking for trouble with Hua Chenhuan. Unfortunately, Hua Chenhuan didn't give him the chance. Although Hua Qihan wasn't penniless when he was kicked out of the company, he should have been high and mighty, enjoying the flattery of others, but now he had become a stray dog. This psychological gap was the most fatal. He wanted to rush back to the company and take everything back from Hua Chenhuan. However, the security guards at the door, who were originally just watchdogs in his eyes, stopped him outside. No matter how much he punched and kicked, he was not allowed to get close to the company. He even directly pushed him to the ground after being angered. Hua Qihan had always been pampered and was not young anymore. How could he be a match for these tall and strong security guards? He fell on his butt on the spot. The physical pain was secondary. Hua Qihan could never forget the way the people around him looked at him at that time. Hua Qihan, who had been deeply humiliated, returned home and smashed everything in the house to pieces. After that, she still felt that it was not enough to vent her anger, so she wanted to go to the family Hua mansion to find trouble with Hua Chenhuan. She even maliciously thought that it would be best if she could meet Su Yiyen when she went there. His son was gone, so what right did Hua Chenhuan's son have to come to this world? Anyway, he had nothing now. Even if he died, he had to drag a few people down with him. It would be best if one of them died so that Hua Chenhuan would have nothing left. Hua Qihan had wishful thinking, but he couldn't even touch the edge of the old mansion. Hua Qihan went back and lost his temper again. He wanted to find someone to help him, but he found that the people who usually came and went at his beck and call had already hidden far away. It was good enough that they didn't take advantage of the chaos to trample on him, let alone help him. Before he could do anything, bad news came from home. Hua Xiaofeng rushed into the old house where they lived with a few people and took away all the cash and jewelry in the family. Hua Xiaofeng's move was tantamount to the last straw that broke the camel's back. Chapter 8:22. After Hua Qihan received the news, he almost fainted on the spot. Unfilial son, this unfilial son. When he returned home and saw the mess on the ground and the broken safe, he was so angry that he almost spit fire. Call the police right now. Get someone to arrest him. I want him to go to jail, to jail. No. Unexpectedly, it was Xue Xiao who persuaded Hua Qihan at this time. Brother Han, there are so many pairs of eyes outside staring at us, waiting to see us make a fool of ourselves. If this matter is spread out, I don't know how many people will secretly laugh at us behind our backs. And at this time, if they know that our money has been robbed. Xue Xiao's words were like a basin of cold water poured over Hua Qihan's head. Yes, calling the police at this time was tantamount to handing the evidence to those who laughed at them behind their backs. Those who had been indifferent to him might hit him when he was down and couldn't wait to trample him into the ground. Moreover, his son had brought people to rob his father. If this matter was spread out, he would really become a laughing stock for everyone. Between face and money, Hua Qihan finally chose the former. It was just that he couldn't swallow this anger no matter what. He secretly swore in his heart that one day he would find Hua Xiaofeng and kill this ungrateful unfilial son. Obviously, they were father and son, but they had reached the point where they would not stop until one of them died. It was really sad. The people around him left him one by one. Hua Qihan was resentful and angry, but he trusted and loved Xue Xiao more and more. Baby, I only have you now. You can rest assured that I'm just frustrated for a while now because of Hua Chenhuan, that be asterisk starred. When I recover, I will immediately get back what belongs to me. When that time comes, I will marry you in a grand manner and make you the one and only Mrs. Hua. Xue Xiao obediently approached Hua Qihan's arms and said softly, I don't care about status. As long as I can be with Brother Han like this, even if I don't have a status, even if life is hard, I will gladly endure it. Hua Qihan. Hua Qihan was greatly moved and hugged Xue Xiaoyu tighter. He was thinking about how to take revenge on Hua Xiaofeng and his mother and how to compensate his little lover. He did not notice the coldness and disgust in the eyes of the person in his arms when she lowered her eyes. Hua Xiaofeng's last kick had greatly damaged Hua Qihan's vitality and temporarily diverted some of the firepower away. By the time Hua Qihan recovered a little, the baby in Su Yiyan's stomach had already been born. Even the full moon ceremony had begun. Hua Qihan gritted his teeth in hatred. He had racked his brains to get himself an invitation to the full moon ceremony and came to ruin the lively banquet. But once again, he found that those who used to have close relationships with him had already changed their faces. Not only did he fail to get an invitation, but he also suffered a round of mockery and humiliation. In the end, he had no choice but to forge an invitation card in an attempt to get away with it. However, before he entered the hotel, he discovered that his name had already been blacklisted by the hotel. Not to mention that the invitation card in his hand was fake. Even if it was real, it was impossible to let him in. Hua Qihan flew into a rage and almost fought with the hotel staff on the spot. In the end, he was, politely, asked to leave. After several setbacks, Hua Qihan, who had experienced the fickleness of the world for a few months, only felt that now he was like a stray dog, worse than a rat crossing the street. And the person who caused all this was now sitting in a high-rise building, enjoying the various benefits brought by money and power. Chapter 823. Was Hua Qihan willing to accept this? Of course, he was not. After learning that Hua Chenhuan had finally returned to work at the Hua Corporation, Hua Qihan immediately contacted a large number of media outlets, hoping to use public opinion to make things difficult for Hua Chenhuan. Little did he know that what he did was tantamount to a clown in Hua Chenhuan's eyes. Young master, Hua Qihan came downstairs again. Although Hua Chenhuan had taken over the Hua Corporation from Hua Qihan, he did not trust anyone in the company. Ignoring the senior executives who tried to curry favor with him and tried to plant spies around him, Hua Chenhuan directly transferred Zui Yanbai over and let him be his chief executive secretary. During his absence from the Hua Corporation, Zui Yanbai handled the company's affairs on his behalf and had the same right to speak as him. Not only did those higher-ups fail to do so, they had no choice but to look up to a young junior. How could they endure such humiliation? During Hua Chenhuan's absence, this group of people had made things difficult for Zui Yanbai. Fortunately, Zui Yanbai was not a simple person who could be bullied. He had given these people several big gifts while talking and laughing, so many people were now afraid when they saw him smile. Again? Hua Chenhuan raised his eyebrows slightly and instantly caught the key point. Did he come often during my absence? Not often. He came to see you every 10 days or half a month. When he saw that you were not here, he left. 10 days or half a month? Hua Chenhuan sneered. After he took over the Hua Corporation, he had not come for 2 or 3 months. Once every 10 days or half a month was not a small number. What is he doing downstairs? Previously, he just sent people to make trouble downstairs. Today, he may know that you are coming and found a lot of reporters. He probably wants to lead public opinion and make trouble for you and the Hua Corporation. Hua Chenhuan's expression did not change after hearing this. He only said meaningfully, how did he know that I would come today? Or rather, how did he manage to contact so many reporters and bring them here so quickly? Zhuo Yanbai narrowed his eyes. He instantly understood what Hua Chenhuan meant, and his face turned ugly. I'll leave this matter to you. I want to know the results of Dou Tianyi's infiltration into the hotel within a week. Yes. Hua Chenhuan stood up and was about to leave when Zhuo Yanbai's expression changed slightly. He was a little anxious. Young master. I'll go down and check on my big brother. But, those reporters, do you think they can hurt me? Of course not. After Hua Chenhuan took over the Hua Group, she strengthened all the security around the company. Hua Qihan could only shout outside the door. It was not so easy for him to enter the building. But Hua Qihan clearly wants to bring these reporters here. Do you think I don't know what he's thinking? Hua Chenhuan sneered. Her eyes were full of coldness and sarcasm. After so many years of indulging in luxury, he only knows how to play these dirty tricks now. Looking for reporters? He's digging his own grave. Zhuo Yanbai was stunned. Only then did he remember that Hua Chenhuan still had some things in her hands. She could throw any of them out and blow Hua Qihan up. She did not throw them out because too many people were involved. She did not want the Hua Corporation's stock price to fall too badly. But if Hua Qihan continued to make trouble like this, his young master might not be able to tolerate it. Anyway, his young master could afford to pay for this small amount of money. He had been in this company for a long time, so taking drastic measures might not be a bad thing. Chapter 824. At that time, Hua Qihan still didn't know that his unfilial son had handed the back of his neck to Hua Chenhuan before he defected. As long as Hua Chenhuan moved her hands slightly, it would be enough to break his throat and send him to hell. Hua Qihan led a group of reporters to wait downstairs under the hot sun. He thought that he would return empty-handed today. These reporters had accompanied him under the scorching sun for so long. They were resentful and would definitely do their best to criticize Hua Chenhuan. However, before Hua Qihan could finish imagining Hua Chenhuan's tragic situation of being besieged by public opinion, the person he thought would never appear walked down the stairs so openly. The reporters who had been surrounding Hua Qihan swarmed forward like beasts smelling meat, trying to put their microphones directly in Hua Chenhuan's face. The security guards at the door naturally wouldn't let them do that. Before the reporters approached, they built a human wall in front of Hua Chenhuan, separating the reporters from Hua Chenhuan. Hua Qihan also reacted at this time. He quickly stepped forward and shouted, Hua Chenhuan, you took over your brother's company. Aren't you afraid that your parents will come after you? It would have been fine if Hua Qihan hadn't mentioned Hua Jinyao and Hua Mummy. As soon as he mentioned them, Hua Chenhuan's face suddenly darkened. She sneered and said, if you're not afraid, why should I be? When the reporters heard what he said, they instantly felt as if they had been injected with chicken blood. They felt that they had vaguely spied on the secrets of the rich and powerful and could make big news at any time. Hua Qihan really didn't expect Hua Chenhuan to say that. His eyes widened and he was stunned for a while. When a few reporters saw that they couldn't get close to Hua Chenhuan, they changed their target to themselves and surrounded him. Hua Qihan seemed to have woken up from a dream. He gritted his teeth and said, what's there to be afraid of? Dad left the Hua Corporation to me in his will. At that time, your legs were crippled. Out of consideration for our brotherly love and pity for you, I kept helping you and encouraging you. I didn't expect that once your legs were healed, you would take away the only thing Dad left for me and even chase me out. Hua Qihan's words were bitter and hateful. He portrayed himself as a victim who had been bullied because of his kindness. At the same time, he also blackened Hua Qinhuan and blatantly portrayed him as an ingrate who repaid kindness with ingratitude. Zhuo Yanbai was infuriated as he listened. What did he mean by helping you out of pity and encouraging you? He almost couldn't recognize these two words. It was already good enough that Hua Qihan, that be **starred, did not secretly play tricks to make his young master's leg injury worse. Would he encourage him to help treat his young master's leg injury? What a joke! Compared with Zhuo Yanbai's anger, Hua Qinhuan's expression did not change. He was so calm that it was as if he was listening to someone else's business. After Hua Qihan pretended to finish his words, Hua Qinhuan faintly spat out a few names. Song Gangyi, Zhang Hai, Nie Minji. Hua Qinhuan finished reciting more than a dozen names in less than a minute. The people around did not understand why Hua Qinhuan suddenly recited the names. Hua Qihan was dumbfounded. From the moment he heard the first name, the expression on his face froze. The more he heard, the angrier his face became. When he heard the last name, Hua Qihan's face was as pale as paper. His eyes were wide open and he looked at Hua Qinhuan in disbelief. His eyes were full of horror and a trace of fluttering luck. Hua Qinhuan's lips curled up slightly. Her clear voice shattered Hua Qihan's trace of fluttering luck. These are the names of the company's layoffs today. You should be familiar with them. Chapter 825. Hua Qihan had been in charge of the Hua Corporation for more than 10 years. After the initial panic, he quickly forced himself to calm down and said sadly, "What do you want to do? These are all old employees of the company. They have worked hard for the Hua Corporation even if they didn't make any contributions. You can't just drive me away, but you also want to drive away these old employees who have worked hard for the Hua Corporation? Aren't you afraid that the company will be disappointed?" Disappointed? If they aren't afraid that what they did will make the company's employees feel disappointed, why should I keep this fig leaf for them? When Hua Qinhuan said this, he stared into Hua Qihan's eyes. His gaze was cold and sharp, as if it could penetrate his outer shell and strip away all the greedy and dirty thoughts in his heart and expose them to the world. They are indeed old employees who have worked hard for the company. If they knew their place and diligently did their jobs, I naturally wouldn't touch them. It's just that they shouldn't have used their identities to do things that are against the law. Hua Qihan's face completely changed. He struggled to push aside the reporters in front of him and wanted to rush forward. Hua Qinhuan winked at the people in front of him. The originally impenetrable human wall quickly opened a small gap, just enough for Hua Qihan to squeeze through. The reporters behind Hua Qihan suddenly came to their senses when they saw this. They also ran over, wanting to tear open the gap and rush to Hua Qinhuan. Unfortunately, their reaction was not as fast as the security guards, and they were once again blocked outside the human wall. Some people were so angry that they couldn't help but want to curse. They were stopped, but their mouths were still a little unwilling to be left out. "President Hua, do you have any explanation for Mr. Hua's claim that you colluded with the company's old employees to force his brother out of the Hua Corporation? President Hua, is what Mr. Hua just said about the will true? Did old President Hua really leave a will to Mr. Hua? So now you're taking the Hua Corporation away from your brother. Are you dissatisfied with old President Hua's arrangements before his death? President Hua, what exactly do you mean by breaking the law and breaking the discipline? The old employees you just mentioned, were they fired because they did something unspeakable? Will you hold them accountable? President Hua, please answer our questions." President Hua, the reporters asked questions one after another. Hua Qinhuan casually responded to any one of them, and it was enough to turn into big news about the internal disputes of the rich and powerful. However, he did not say a word. Instead, he looked coldly at Hua Qihan, who had rushed up to him and was about to grab his collar. Hua Qinhuan narrowed her eyes. She stretched her long legs forward and kicked Hua Qihan's knee under the cover of the human wall. Hua Qihan instantly lost his balance and fell to his knees in front of Hua Chenhuan. Zhuo Yanbai was so happy that he whistled on the spot. "Aya, it's fine that you're here. Why are you suddenly giving me such a big bow? Quickly get up, quickly get up. You're already so old, aren't you shortening our young master's lifespan?" That being said, Zhuo Yanbai had no intention of stepping forward to help her up. From beginning to end, she stood by the side and watched coldly. She even seemed to be gloating. "You!" Hua Qihan almost exploded with anger. He struggled to get up, but Hua Chenhuan held his shoulder and kept him in a kneeling position, unable to move. "Do you know where I got these things?" Chapter 826. Hua Qihan's whole body trembled, and his face went blank for a moment. He knew what Hua Chenhuan was talking about. On the one hand, he encouraged himself in his heart. He felt that it was impossible for Hua Chenhuan to really get any crucial evidence. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to hold back until now. On the other hand, he couldn't help but feel nervous and afraid. What if? If he really did have it, then wouldn't he? Hua Chenhuan saw the fear in Hua Qihan's eyes and sneered with some sarcasm and temptation. "Go back and ask your good son." Hua Qihan's face changed and he roared, "Impossible." Hua Chenhuan stared at him condescendingly and said with pity, "Why is it impossible? Do you think he won't betray you, or do you think he doesn't have the ability to get what you are trying to hide?" Hua Qihan's face turned green and white, but he couldn't say a word to refute Hua Chenhuan. Hua Xiaofeng had already taken his family's money and ran away. Hua Qihan couldn't say that it was impossible for his son to betray him. As for whether he had the ability or not, in Hua Qihan's opinion, it was indeed impossible for Hua Xiaofeng to have this ability. But the key was that before the father and son fell out, Hua Qihan also valued and loved his son very much. Because of this, Hua Qihan had never been on guard against Hua Xiaofeng at that time. It was not surprising that Hua Xiaofeng would get these things. Understanding this, Hua Qihan trembled with anger. He had never realized so deeply in his life that it was better to have a piece of barbecued pork than to have a son like Hua Xiaofeng. Hua Chenhuan's purpose had been achieved. She was too lazy to waste her breath on these people. She directly asked someone to throw Hua Qihan out and turned to enter the company. "Young master, you told Hua Qihan that those things were given to you by Hua Xiaofeng. Do you want them to kill each other? Haven't they already killed each other?" Ever since Hua Xiaofeng had led his men to loot Hua Qihan's house, or even before that, there was no possibility for the father and son to reconcile. What he was doing now was only adding fuel to the fire, making this father and son fratricidal drama even more exciting. Not long after the farce over Hua Chenhuan ended, the reporters struck while the iron was hot and came up with 7 or 8 strange news versions. When Su Yiyan received the news page sent by Ling Xiaoqi, she was busy arranging for the internal staff to be transferred to other positions. She didn't want to click on the news that suddenly popped up. He glanced at the title and saw the words, "Family Hua, Brothers Yama Wall." Family Hua brothers? Could it be her husband? When he clicked on it to take a look, it was true. The reporter who wrote this report was obviously an experienced editor. He was very sophisticated in his choice of words and sentences. His words were concise and vivid in reconstructing what had happened at the scene. There was also a small video of the scene. The resolution of the video was not high. It was obvious that it was taken from a distance. Only the outline of the figure could be vaguely seen, but the sound was not low. When Su Yiyan first heard Hua Qihan's questioning of Hua Chenhuan, he was so angry that he almost slammed the table and stood up. He immediately wanted to rush to the Hua family to tear Hua Qihan apart. However, he was immediately met with his own man's counterattack. Although Su Yiyan, like most of the people present, had no impression of the names mentioned by Hua Chenhuan, he could roughly guess that these people were part of the evidence Hua Xiaofeng gave to Hua Chenhuan about Hua Qihan's crimes. Hua Qihan's reaction also confirmed this. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.